Hi, I'm Julia Piazza, and this is Pache. I am super excited today to begin a Birth Wisdom Yoga 8-week series for you to prepare for labor and childbirth. We will be working out of my book, Birth Wisdom Yoga, Remedies and Journal, and especially working on the 8 birth wisdoms, which were designed from my own mothering journey, and also from working in the labor and birth community as a labor and birth doula here in the Sacramento area. So as we practice, I wanted to remind you to check in beforehand with your care provider. Be sure that practicing yoga is safe for you and your baby. And then also just to really listen. You're going to have time to feel in each pose if it's good for you. And if you need to come on out, maybe come to your hands and knees or lay on your left or right side. Just know that those poses are there as well for you to rest. We're going to begin in meditation. For meditation, go ahead and grab a blanket or a couple of pillows and maybe even a block. We're going to start coming down onto your right side. You can come onto your left side as well. That's going to be up to you depending on what feels better. I always say if you're sleeping all the time on your left side, it's okay to come down onto your right side and give your hips a little break for meditation. Taking a blanket between your knees. Sometimes it feels good to take a block and place it between the ankles, and that'll help your sciatica from getting irritated as well. And go ahead and come on down and close your eyes, just cradling your head in your right elbow. And begin to come into the breath. So you're allowing your inhale to reach up slowly through the crown of your head. And your exhale to come all the way down around your baby and out your toes. And just finding a slow, gentle rhythm with your breath. Softening your jaw. Letting the edges of your body begin to soften and melt away slowly. And of course, you'll notice your mind. We don't ever really control the mind in meditation. We just practice letting the mind go, letting the thoughts go on the exhale. And then we return to the breath again and again. And we begin to create space in our mind and our body to feel. So as the thoughts come into your mind, just say thank you and let them float all the way out to the universe on your exhale. And begin to picture a beautiful, bright, glowing light surrounding your entire body. It's just your energy field, and it's a beautiful, glowing light surrounding you in love and protection, attracting abundance and health. And see that beautiful, beautiful light surrounding your baby here completely. And just take a few breaths to picture your baby right here in this moment. So peaceful, so safe and content. And just breathe into knowing that everything you and your baby needs is already right here inside of you. And you'll always find it in your ability to connect with your breath. And taking a deep inhale, and open up, sigh out your exhale completely. And Let's take 3 more cleansing breaths, letting everything go on the exhale. All the thoughts, all the plans, all the worries. Just let those go right here. And then we're going to very slowly, gently open your eyes, remove your blanket, and we're going to remove, if you have a block or a blanket between the ankles. And from here, we're going to go ahead and just start some gentle movement and stretching, just taking the left knee up towards the ribs, circle the toes. And you can take this as deep as you like, so you also have the option of taking that left knee down, taking your heel towards your glutes. And for some of you, it might even feel good just to straighten the leg. You can reach up for the toes, for the back of the hamstrings. So just see what feels good here. We're going to take about 4 breaths on this side. And remembering we're still allowing that exhale to go completely. We're still releasing the breath all the way down and all the way out your toes. And taking a deep inhale and open up, sigh out your exhale. And we're going to gently come onto your back for a rocking happy baby. So you'll take the feet nice and wide. If this feels too tight for you, your hands can also come back on the hamstrings there. And we're going to rock and roll from left to right, from right to left. And we're not going to stay flat on your back, so this is safe for you and your baby. And generally, we won't lay flat on your back because of that vena cava artery, but if you rock and roll here for a few breaths, you'll get a nice little massage and keep you and your baby safe. So still breathing, and then you're going to gently roll on over to your left side for your stretches. I'm going to go ahead and come over so that we can still see how we're stretching here. So laying on that left side, cradling your head right here. And remember, we started just by taking the knee in, circling the toes. And then you have options. You can drop the knee down, staying with your breath. You can lift that leg up, reaching for the toes, reaching for the back of your hamstrings. So you decide. Still breathing here and moving where it feels good. So we have 2 more breaths. And this side might feel tighter, and that's totally normal too. Often our hips are tighter on the side where even our pelvic floor muscles are a little bit tighter. So this stretch can help balance those muscles out. And then from here, we're going to gently release. And find your way over to hands and knees. Take your time. And we're going to go ahead and take a blanket, and this is just so that it feels good, and place it under the knees. And keeping a block, or even if you don't have a block, a pillow will work just fine as well. To come all the way down, knees are wide, setting up for child's pose. You have a block or pillow if you need a little more space here. But with the knees wide, you may find that it feels just fine walking the hands forward. Coming all the way down, bringing your forehead onto your mat and come into the breath here. And inhaling deep, and open up, sigh everything out. And gently find your way to hands and knees. And we're going to set up for thread the needle pose. So go ahead and place your left hand towards the center of your mat. Fingers are nice and wide. With the breath, inhale your right hand up to the sky. And we're taking the right hand under the left elbow and drop the right cheek down. Come into the breath. So you have a couple of options. If that feels too deep, just bring your right forearm in front of you and rest here. If you'd like to take it even deeper, you can go ahead and come down, reach that left hand forward with your elbow off your mat, or just bring your elbow down and breathe here. So you're going to decide what feels good. And then slowly come back to center, hands and knees. And we'll set up for the other side. So taking the right hand down with the breath, reach up, inhale with the left hand, and take that left hand all the way through underneath the right elbow. You can reach the right hand forward, drop the left cheek down. Or you can always modify right here and take it just a little bit easier. It's up to you. And inhaling deep. With your exhale, go ahead and come up to hands and knees. So we are setting up for cow pose and cat pose. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about your hands. So we are not going to stack the hands right under the shoulders. You have twice as much fluid, almost twice as much fluid in your body when you're pregnant. So it's really common for your wrists to feel really tight. We're going to walk the hands forward, take the fingers wide. You can also come onto your fist at any time. You can also roll up your mat and go ahead and take the base of your hand right at the edge. It'll take you right out of your wrist, and that'll feel much better. So go ahead, come on to hands and knees. Knees are about as wide as your hips, and we're going to go ahead and inhale, take your chin and your tailbone up to the sky. And with your exhale, press into the hands, arch your back, and drop your head. And just begin to alternate. As you inhale, you reach up with the head and the tailbone. As you exhale, press into the hands, drop the head down. And just breathe into that space you're creating in the spine right here. And then we'll meet back at center, and we're going to set up for pelvic circles. So we walk the hands forward, taking the feet nice and wide, or the knees nice and wide, not the feet. And we're making a nice big figure eight. We're going to come all the way forward, press into the hands, reach the hips back. So this is just a wonderful pose for releasing sciatica pain, lower back pain. It's also a wonderful pose for any stage of labor. So you're helping to open up the pelvis and create space for baby here. And still moving with your breath. So notice your exhale. If you're holding on, go ahead and let that go right here. And from here, we'll come back to center. We're going to take it a little deeper. Take the left foot out to the side. You're softening the knee, and we're going to rock and roll forward and back. So this is one of our favorite poses for first-time moms for the pushing phase of labor. We know this opens up the pelvis almost 30% more, so who doesn't want more space in the pelvis for labor and childbirth, right? So remember to bring a yoga mat, a couple yoga mats maybe to your birth. Just grab a couple inexpensive mats. You'll just leave them there. You're not going to want them after that, but go ahead and make sure they're ready for you to take with you to labor. And let's go ahead and try the other side. So come back to center. And we'll step the other foot out to the side, soften the knee, and we'll go ahead and rock and roll forward and back, still moving with your breath. So in labor, I would have either a blanket or pillow here. I would also have a birth ball here and go ahead and have you lay over that. And that's going to feel so much more comfortable because oftentimes women will stay here for hours because it feels so much better than not moving or being in bed when you're in labor. Still breathing. And then we'll go ahead and come on back to center. Coming into your breath at hands and knees. Just loosen this. There we go. And we are going to go ahead and set up for downward facing dog. So from hands and knees, go ahead and walk the hands forward where they feel good. Take the fingers nice and wide. Curl your toes on your mat and press your hips up to the sky. Dropping the head down. You can take the feet as wide as you like here. Allow your head to come down. And just soften the heels towards your mat. And come into the breath. You might bend your left knee, your right knee. Just kind of move where it feels good here. And we usually only hold this about 4 breaths when we're pregnant, just to ensure if you have low blood pressure, or sometimes we just feel a little dizzy. We don't want to stay upside down for too long. So we're going to walk the hands slowly back to the knees, to the feet, and then rolling up nice and slow. And go ahead and take the hands forward. And you're going to find your feet, so find your heels. And then take a micro bend in the knees. Pressing down into the heels. Then notice your pelvis. If you are tucking the pelvis underneath you, you're going to want to head and take your hands on your hips. Press back. It'll feel like your sit bones are right on top of your heels. And that's going to ensure that you have a nice, balanced, stable pelvic floor. So when we tuck the pelvis for years and years, we can end up with pelvic floor muscles that are not balanced. So this is just a great thing to be aware of when you sit or stand. Keep a nice neutral pelvis. Don't tuck the pelvis under you. From here, let's press into our heels and our toes. Palms are forward. Come into the breath and just circle the shoulders back nice and slow. Moving with your breath, so you're still releasing your exhale. And then let's take the shoulders circling forward. Notice your jaw here. So one of my favorite authors, Ina May Gaskin, always reminds us to soften our jaw and that there's a direct correlation in labor between a nice, soft, open jaw and a nice, soft, open cervix. So we're going to keep practicing that here today. Let's go ahead and circle the head if that feels good. Just loosening up the neck slowly. And keep a micro bend in your knees. And then coming back to center, root down into your feet. Inhale, reach up. We're going to take the left wrist and just reach up and over to the right with your breath. We'll come back to center. We're lengthening the spine. And then we'll take the right wrist and soften over to the left side. And let's do one more set. You're just moving with your breath again. Kind of feel the opening in the spine and breathe into it. And then we'll gently come back to center. The palms will face forward. And inhale, reach up to the sky. Palms come to center through your heart. Inhale, trust in your body. And draw that in. Inhale, trust in birth. And draw that in as well. And one more deep breath, reach up. We're going to transition to folding forward. We're taking the feet really, really wide, bend the knees, and just a gentle transition, going all the way down. And then bringing the hands up to the shins. Go ahead and inhale here. Then all the way down, hands and knees. And we are setting up for low lunges. So I'm going to go ahead and set my blanket aside. I'm keeping a block close by if you have one. Both hands will come over to the left side, creating space, and we'll step the right foot forward. And then soften, go ahead and let that left knee come down and behind you. Adjust where it feels good. And we're taking a block here just to give you a little more space for baby. And we're going to rock and roll forward and back. And still breathing. So notice the exhale. Notice if you're holding on and let it out. So this is one of my favorite poses for changing the shape in the pelvis for baby in labor. But also, again and again, women will say that it helps sciatica pain when they're pregnant. So this is a great one to practice every day. If you have an exercise or birth ball, I would put it right here and lay over that. It'll feel so much better for you if you end up using this in labor as well. And then if you want to take it a little deeper, you have another option here. You can come onto your fists, press through that left knee, and just rock and roll here. It's a very different stretch. So some people, it actually feels deeper with that knee down. So that's going to be up to you. And then we'll gently come on down and try the other side. Just taking the hands over to the side, taking the left foot or the other foot forward. Sliding that back knee back just a little bit more, and we'll rock and roll. So we often hear about women sometimes in labor having that experience where baby gets kind of caught up high in the pelvis, and I really feel like these are poses that change the shape of the pelvis and would help baby rotate and come on down to be born. So the research shows that this is true, which is very exciting. So not only does this feel good, but this is really something I'd be doing in labor to ensure my baby has lots of room to turn, to rotate, and to be born. So still breathing. And then remember, you can also take it deeper if you like. Coming onto your fist, pressing through that right heel and just rocking and rolling. So you decide if that feels good. Still releasing your breath. And then we're going to come on down and set up for warrior two. So keep your block close by. We're bringing both of our thumbs together in the center of your mat. And this is to ensure that when we step forward, your knee doesn't hit your belly or your baby as your baby grows. So take the right foot forward and let it land wherever it feels good. Now, your left foot will face the left side of your mat. And we are setting up for warrior two. So you can take your right heel and line it up with the left heel. You can also bring that in and line up the right heel with the left arch. That's really going to be up to you and how this right knee feels for you in the position. I take mine a little bit wider. So adjusting here, pressing into the feet, the heels, reach up through the thighs, and then take that right hand forward, the left hand back. Now you can reach forward and back here, move with your breath, open up the shoulder blades. You can also just let those arms go completely and feel that opening and stretch in the ribs. You decide, you might find stillness. Let's take about 2 more breaths here. And then we are going to set up for triangle pose. So bring your block close by, and on the higher setting, you're going to straighten this right knee and then come all the way down. Press into your block and take the left hand up to the sky and breathe. You also have the option here of taking this right hand to your thigh if this feels like a really deep stretch, and you'll still get the benefit of the pose right here. So that's going to be up to you. We're going to take 2 more breaths, long and slow. And then softening the right knee a lot. Go ahead and take the left hand down, the right hand to the sky. And then we're transitioning all the way down to your mat. So the right hand comes down to the right thigh. The left hand will come down the left knee, and then we will set up for the other side from hands and knees. So I'm going to show you that transition, and then I'm going to go ahead and turn around so I can still see you and you can see me. So our thumbs are together. We're going to go ahead and step that left foot forward, creating space for baby. And then from here, the right foot will face the right side of your mat. You can use the right thigh. Eventually, we all use those thighs to come on up. But go ahead. I'm going to turn around so you can see my feet. And remember, you can line the left heel up with the right heel, or the left heel up with the right arch. I'm taking mine a little bit wider. And then from here, the left hand is forward, the right hand is back. You're moving with your breath. And then you also have that option of just going ahead and rocking and rolling with the arms. Open it up. Open up the rib cage and breathe. And this can really help sometimes with your ribs if they're getting sore and your baby's getting maybe a little close with an elbow or a knee in between the ribs. This will kind of shake them out sometimes. And then from here, we're going to go ahead and move our block closer. Right on the inside of that left ankle, we're straightening the left knee, setting up for triangle pose. So we're pressing down as we reach up with the right hand to breathe. But you also can take this left hand to the left thigh and breathe here. So I want you to really listen and move where it's feeling good for you. Find the breath. And then deep inhale, reach up. And then we're taking the right hand down, the left hand to the sky. And then transitioning all the way to your mat. So the left hand will come to the left thigh. The right hand and knee will come down. We're coming to hands and knees. And then we're going to go ahead and turn towards the side of your mat and set up for a goddess pose. So I'm going to give you an option first to come into a nice low goddess. So just taking your feet wide, sitting down, and coming into the breath here. But also you can sit right on your block and also come into the breath if this feels good to you. So go ahead and shut the eyes down. We're going to practice for about the length of a contraction. We're going to practice diving into the breath. So allowing the eyes to shut down, just begin to notice the sensations in your body. Begin to feel your legs, your muscles, and see if you can dive into what you're feeling instead of maybe thinking of when or how you're going to get out of this position. So we often find that each woman has a point in labor and childbirth where it's just like that, and we realize that if we can dive into what we're feeling and dive into that sensation, actually welcoming the waves of those contractions, then it actually gets a little bit easier. It's a little more doable. And we tap into a primal strength that we did not know we had before. So just changing the mindset instead of, how am I going to get out of this? It's, let's dive in and say thank you for these beautiful contractions that are creating space for my baby. And then just gently opening your eyes, and we're going to find a really wonderful stretch now. Your block will come right in front of you. And you're just going to open up your feet nice and wide. The toes will face the side of your mat. Folding forward, we're using the block just because it feels good. If there's any tightness with your hands on your mat, give yourself that little bit of cushion. Press down with the left hand, reach up with the right. And we're just going to make sure that we've gotten into every part of your spine, alternating as we press down with the right hand. We reach up with the left. And just do one more set. Move with your breath. Press down as you reach up. That's it. And then we'll come back to center and just gently move your toes and heels in a little bit slowly, creating a little more space, bringing the hands up to the thighs, and we're going to take one more stretch from left to right. So just moving with your breath. This is so great for your spine, your ribs, wherever you might be feeling some soreness, we're going to find it today. And still breathing. We'll gently come back to center, and we're going to go ahead and move your mat close to the wall. We're practicing a hip opener, frog, but using the wall, which makes it feel so much better. You'll need a blanket or even a couple of pillows that will fold up to place under the spine, so that way you can actually lay down, but you won't be compressing that vena cava artery, which as your baby grows, your baby can kind of allow weight to compress there, and that would decrease oxygen to you and your baby, and that's why you're always hearing don't lay flat on your back. Most women don't really feel that for a couple of months until their baby starts really growing. So we're going to ensure that this feels good. Knees will face this way. It'll make it easier for you to go ahead and take your legs up the wall with your baby in your belly. We're going to lay over the blankets, and I'm just going to straighten mine out a little bit. I like to bring them close to my sit bones. And then allow your head to come down. The feet come nice and wide. Allow the eyes to shut down here and come into the breath. And just enjoying a gentle stretch in the spine. Adjust your blankets or pillows wherever you need. And you can also alternate this with legs up the wall, which is wonderful if you're finding that your feet are swelling, especially as it gets warmer outside. This is something we like to practice almost every class in Birth Wisdom Yoga classes. It'll just feel good for your feet and your ankles. And you can alternate legs up the wall with your frog on the wall. So maybe 4 or 5 breaths here, and then we're going to go ahead and gently come over to your right side and come into a seated position. So practicing a seated twist, and just bring your sit bones behind you. Remember, we're not going to tuck the pelvis. And we know that this is a safe twist for you because both sit bones will stay on your mat. Just walking the hands to the left side, reach up and breathe here. And then we'll gently come to the right side, still breathing, still exhaling completely. And then we will come all the way down onto your left or right side for Shavasana. So we won't lay flat on your back because, again, we're not going to stay flat on that vena cava artery. We'll lay down. You can take your blanket between your knees. You can take a block between your ankles. We're going to get nice and grounded and come all the way down, just supporting wherever it feels good for you. Allowing your eyes to shut down. Coming back to that beautiful connection with your baby. Just picturing your baby here. And that beautiful golden light surrounding both of you, and love and protection. And staying here for about 4 or 5 breaths. Breathe. My birthing strength and power are found in my ability to go deep inside and connect with my breath, surrendering to my birth experience. I pause, breathe, and feel, connecting to my unique mothering wisdom. So go ahead and take a deep inhale and a deep exhale. Very slowly, gently, go ahead from laying on your left or right side, coming to hands and knees. Slowly come into a seated position, taking your time. And bringing your hands at heart center, we're going to go ahead and shut the eyes down here. I intend for you this week to continue practicing your breathing in your everyday life, knowing that it will open you up to your birthing and mothering strength. Namaste. Thanks so much for practicing with me today. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share it on YouTube and share it on Instagram and Facebook if you're there with your friends. Also know that you can purchase my book on Amazon, on Barnes & Noble, and even Books A Million across the country in bookstores. And it has 3 complete prenatal yoga flows and over 35 photos of modifications and benefits for you and your baby. You can also reach out to me anytime. I love to talk about all of it at julia@birthwisdomyoga.com.